What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel. Welcome back to our video. Today, we're going to be talking about if Kevin Harvick is going to retire at the end of the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series season or not. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Let's go back to the beginning. About a month and a half ago, it was reported by Jenna Fryer that Stewart-Haas was trying to convince Kevin Harvick to stay for 2024 due to their issues with the Ford development program. And at the same time, in that report, it was reported that they were essentially trying to convince Ryan Preece to go in the 41 car. Tony was when they were trying to keep Cole Custer. Stewart-Haas was trying to keep Cole Custer in the number 41 car. Now, eventually, we came to find out that Ryan Preece is going to be driving the 41 car, but Cole Custer moving back down to the NASCAR Xfinity Series to drive the 00 car, and Stewart-Haas Racing will expand to a 2-car operation. That's what we knew at that point. And then very recently, in this past week or so, it was reported by Dustin Long that Kevin Harvick is currently 50-50 on if he's going to retire or not. And he says that he will make his decision by February of this upcoming season at Daytona, so they can kind of figure out if he's going to do like a season-long tour, basically thanking the fans like what Richard Petty did, like a fan appreciation tour. He wants to go ahead and do that. Now, let's also talk about some other little facts that come out. A few years ago, it had been reported by basically multiple people that Kevin Harvick actually was considering retiring at the end of 2021, but Kevin Harvick is in a contract year in 2023. Now, Kevin Harvick at the end of 2023 is going to be 48 years old. And if he does sign a multi-year contract extension with Stewart-Haas Racing, if he goes to 2025, he will be 50 years old. So he'll be one of the oldest NASCAR Cup Series drivers. Now, one thing about Kevin Harvick's also had some really great performances the last few seasons. I don't think Kevin Harvick's been a bad driver the last years. I think Stewart-Haas Racing and their equipment has been a major problem over the last 2 seasons. You don't go from winning 9 races in a season to the next season failing to win a race because you're a terrible driver. It does because of the equipment. He outperformed that equipment, had one of the best winless seasons in NASCAR Cup Series history. And in 2022, he bounced back somewhat, getting 2 wins, but he did have one of his worst performance seasons overall, getting unfortunately eliminated in the round of 16. Now let's talk a little bit more about Kevin Harvick as well and talk a little bit more about this. So there are a couple things that need to be talked about. What could convince Kevin Harvick to return in 2023? Well, there are a couple major factors that could convince Kevin Harvick to return in 2023. Number one, it depends on how the team performs. If Stewart-Haas Racing takes major performance upgrades in 2023 and they really start performing a lot better and become a more competitive organization, that could be a thing that could keep Kevin Harvick there. And I think that there's a chance that that could happen, especially with Ryan Preece going into the 41 car next year. I think that could play a major factor, bringing Stewart-Haas Racing back up to the top. I think Ryan Preece being there will be helped. I think Ryan Preece will perform way better than Cole Custer did in that 41 car. He might surprise and get a win. I don't think he's going to win, but he might surprise and end up getting a victory. I think Chase Briscoe is going to take some steps forward in 2023 that really will help Stewart-Haas Racing. And then, of course, Eric Almirola will try to help as well. I also think Tony Stewart is going to maybe at some point try to convince Kevin Harvick as well, but I don't know if Tony will play a factor into that. The second thing that really can help Kevin Harvick return to Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024 is if Stewart-Haas offers a massive deal. It depends on how big the deal is. If it's like a $15 to $20 million contract, I don't think Kevin Harvick will turn that down. Now, it depends on how long the deal is as well. If it's like a 1-year deal and it's like $15 to $20 million, I think Kevin Harvick will accept that. I think that could be a possibility for Kevin Harvick to accept, but it's going to have to be a massive deal for Kevin Harvick. And the other major contributing factor that will play a role if Kevin Harvick is to return is when it comes to the Stewart-Haas Racing Development Program and everything in a Ford Development Program. Ford does not right now have a lot of great development at the moment. Of course, in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, you have Cole Custer and Riley Herbst. Cole Custer expected to be a championship threat next year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series and eventually get back to Cup. But he struggled in the NASCAR Cup Series, so the hope for moving back down to the Xfinity Series is they're hoping to try to make him a much better driver and be a more competitive driver in 2023 and be a championship threat. Riley Herbst, meanwhile, the other driver in the 98 car, he has been very disappointing in his Xfinity Series tenure. Granted, he's not a bad driver by any stretch of imagination. He's improved, but he's still not the greatest driver in the world, and you would expect him to do a lot better. Other than those two drivers, you don't have a lot of other options that are available. You just lost DJR Racing, and you lost the Gray brothers. I think Taylor Gray is a really talented driver, but now he's driving for Tricon Garage, and I think he's part of the TRD group, so you've lost him at your disposal. So you really only have 2 drivers that really are available currently at the moment. Other than that, you have Hailie Deegan. Now, Hailie Deegan, there's a lot of rumors around her that she might end up at ThorSport next year in 2023, but also she can end up at SS Greenlight Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Hailie Deegan, whether we like it or not, she is not ready to jump up to the NASCAR Cup Series in any shape or form, so I don't see her making that jump in any shape or form at the moment. Now, to the Xfinity Series next year at SS Greenlight Racing, I think that would make a lot of sense, but with the rumors of her maybe staying in the Truck Series with a team like Front Row or SS Greenlight Racing, who knows at this particular point. It's come out earlier this evening that it sounds like that could end up being the case. Then the only other really major options that you have, maybe Todd Gillen could be a possible replacement if Todd decides to leave Front Row Motorsports, because Todd is under a multi-year deal, though it's not been announced in Front Row Motorsports yet. I would expect that they're going to keep Todd Gillen around. I think Todd Gillen would be a great replacement for Kevin Harvick if he became available. Here's the thing, though. I think Todd Gillen's going to stay at Front Row Motorsports. Yes, I know that Tricon Garage, which is formerly DJR Racing, is now a Toyota team, but I think that he will stay with Front Row Motorsports for the next few years. So the last option you really have is Zane Smith. Now, Zane Smith is driving for Front Row Motorsports in 2023. He'll be driving a 38 truck full time. He's coming off of winning the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Championship. But I think Front Row wants to keep him long term, maybe replace Michael McDowell and take over the 34 car eventually. Michael McDowell had a very strong season, so I think they would love for him to eventually take over. He's making his Daytona 500 debut, not his Cup Series debut. He actually made his Cup Series debut on the race, on my first ever Cup Series race at Gateway, so both of us share something in common. So that could be the only option, but I don't see that becoming an option. What will convince Kevin Harvick to retire? First thing is his son, Keelan. Keelan Harvick, I believe at the end of 2023, will be 11 years old. Keelan, like his father, Kevin, is racing currently at the moment. He's racing go-karts and has been a very successful driver in go-karts. He's also part of the Trackhouse Racing Entertainment Group and has had a lot of experience with them and has been working with them over the last couple seasons. So that will play a factor in the Kevin Harvick possibly retiring. And the other thing, there's a lot of conversation about Kevin Harvick joining the Fox Sports booth. Now, Fox Sports in 2023, the plan is for them to go ahead and maybe do the rotation like they did in 2022. And the reason I think they're doing the rotation is because Kevin Harvick has not retired. If Kevin Harvick was retired already at this point, they probably would have already brought Kevin Harvick up on a full-time basis. So they're going to get a bunch of people like Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch probably, and Jeff Gordon probably, and people like Jamie McMurray and Larry McReynolds are going to be doing the coverage of the Fox Sports booth. I think the goal is for them to get Kevin Harvick though by 2024. So we go back to decision. This is what I think Kevin Harvick honestly is going to do heading into 2024. I think Kevin Harvick is actually going to retire at the end of the 2023 season. Kevin Harvick, like I said, will be 48 years old at the end of the 2023 season, and he's been in the Cup Series now for 23 seasons. Kevin Harvick has gone on to win a lot of races in his career, 60 NASCAR Cup Series races, I think 37 or 38 with Stewart-Haas Racing. He's won the Coco 600 2 or 3 times, 2011 and 2013. He won the Southern 500 in 2014, has won 3 Breakout 400s, 2003, 2019, and 2020, and also won the Daytona 500 in 2007. And he's won a lot of major events throughout his long NASCAR Cup Series career. He's also won 2 NASCAR Xfinity Series championships in 2001 and 2006. And I think he's one of the most underappreciated and underrated drivers in NASCAR history. A lot of people don't appreciate what Kevin Harvick has been able to accomplish. I think he'd been with Stewart-Haas Racing a lot longer. I think he would have been close to 100 wins in his career and probably had more wins than guys like Dale Sr. and Jimmy Johnson, even maybe Jeff Gordon. I think Kevin Harvick was that good of a driver that he could have, if he would not been with RCR throughout the majority of his career, he probably would have been a lot more successful of a driver. But you think about Kevin Harvick, he's also a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's been able to accomplish a lot in his NASCAR Cup Series career. And I think he also wants to run that management firm as well. So I really think that next season, 2023, is going to be his last year. And we're probably going to be knowing it in the next couple of months if he will be retiring. I think other drivers could also retire at the end of 2023. You think about Mark Truex Jr. There's a lot of rumors about Mark Truex Jr.'s future. He may retire at the end of 2023. He was actually looking to retire for 2023, but basically came back for this upcoming season in 2023, and he may retire for 2024. Michael McDowell could retire. He's going to be around 40 years old. He could retire as well. or maybe other guys could join for 2024. But if this could be the last year for Kevin Harvick, and I think that he will actually retire at the end of the 2023 season. Just like I said, looking at Kevin Harvick, he's been in the Cup Series for a long time, and I feel like the last 2 years and the last few months especially, he's become a lot more outspoken as a driver. And when you sometimes are outspoken, sometimes you're tired and you're ready to move on from what you love. And I think Kevin Harvick still loves this sport, and I think he wants to be involved in the sport long term, maybe help Stewart-Haas racing in some aspects. But I don't think Kevin Harvick long-term, it's a grind for drivers. He's a lot older of a driver too, and I think that his performance also is probably going to fall off a little bit as well. Very few drivers can get up to the age of Kevin Harvick and perform at a great level. Most drivers retire at 45 and 46 years old. Kevin Harvick's like a unicorn, like very similar to Mark Martin, Harry Gant. Those guys are in their 50s and winning races. That's a very rare occurrence where drivers in their 50s are winning races. That's not a normal thing in your 50s to win a lot of races. Most legends in the sport struggled. So I think that it will be his last year next season. I think he'll go on and win a couple, at least one race next year. I think it comes at Richmond. And I think he'll be very solid and will be around a 16 qualifier. And I think he could honestly make the round of 12. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I think that 2023 is going to be the last season for Kevin Harvick. I think he retires at the end of 2023, and Stewart-Haas Racing will be looking to try to fill the void for Kevin Harvick by trying to maybe get a veteran like maybe a Mark Truex Jr. somehow if he doesn't retire. Maybe somehow get other drivers like an Alex Bowman if he leaves Hendrick Motorsports out of nowhere. Who knows at this point, but I think 2023 is going to be the last year for Kevin Harvick. So, that is going to be our today's special NASCAR video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on so you're notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links are below over that, and comment below your thoughts on today's video. Do you think Kevin Harvick retires at the end of the 2023 season or not? Let me know in the comments below, and if he does decide to return, why do you think he will return? Let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow on my channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video where we'll recap all the NASCAR news over the last couple of days. Thursday will be the next team preview likely on the channel. I would presume we're going to do a team like, probably going to do Stewart-Haas Racing perhaps, or another team. We'll have to wait and see. We've got a lot of other videos dropping here, and we're getting closer to the Daytona 500, and the year is coming to a close. Help me reach that 1,500 subscriber goal for the end of the year. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.